Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. I'm continuing with the Valentine theme as it's only a week away, and this time I'm incorporating the beautifully happy Level 2 Sale-a-ration stamp set. From 5th January to 28th February during the Sale-a-ration promotion, you can get the stamp set for free, subject to a qualifying purchase of £90. Or you can get the Dandy Designs 12 by 12 inch or 30.5 by 30.5 designer series paper, which I've featured in previous projects. The sentiment here, "You are easy to love," sparked an idea that I could make that into a Valentine card. And this is what I came up with. I paired it with a framed florets bundle, and it was an early release from last year, and you can find it on page 65 of the new January to April 2023 mini. I particularly like this set because there are a lot of oval dies in this set, and in particular this oval die cuts out little hearts in an oval frame. It's quite a comprehensive stamp set, and the sentiments in this stamp set also is quite versatile. You know, you could do birthdays, thank you cards, special occasion cards, that could be a birthday or whatever, and celebrate, that's pretty general as well. And this could be a Valentine's card, just a little reminder that you are loved. And of course there's the frames, and this is the frame we're going to be using, the one that cuts out all the hearts. But there's such a plethora of dies in here that you can use. There's leaves, floral images that match the stamped images here in the stamp set, and a variety of oval frames. This is the stitched greenery die. It creates a lovely background, as you can see in my card here. The stitched greenery die doesn't actually cut right through, but it does leave an impression on the cardstock, as you can see here. Then it's exactly what it says on the label. It's stitched greenery because it leaves all these leaf patterns on the cardstock. And to embellish, I use some rhinestones. Let's run through the cardstock. So you need half an A4 sheet, and this measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 7/8. And in metric that's 21 centimeters by 14.8 centimeters, and folded in half. Then for the card front, which is the piece that you're going to run through with the stitched greenery die, is a 1/4 sheet of an A4 sheet, and that measures 4 1/8 by 5 7/8, so that's 10.5 by 14.8 centimeters. The second layer for the front is in basic white, and this is 3 1/2 by 5 3/8, and in metric that's 9 centimeters by 13.5 centimeters. And for the inside of the card, this measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, so that's 9.5 by 14 centimeters. The inks I'm using are Calypso Coral, Mint Macaron, and Tuxedo Black Memento ink. Wink of Stella. You need a scrap of basic white cardstock. This is a 2-step stamping stamp set. 2-step stamping means that there's a linear image, and in order to complete it, you stamp it a second time with a different stamp, and that fills in all the blanks. So if you don't like colouring, this is absolutely perfect. But then you've also got the alternative to use different colouring mediums as well. You could use stamping blends or colour pencils, or just water painters with your ink pads. I've used the Stamparatus to help me do this because I was making more than one card. So I'm going to pop that into the stamp apparatus, ink up my stamp, and the beauty of this is that if you have blank areas where the ink hasn't reached, you can stamp it again. And this time you can see it's covered the whole area now. I'm going to switch my plate over, and in order to get that in the right place, I use the hole in the stamp here over the hole there to mount the stamps, and I'm going to stamp that in Calypso Coral. The leaf stamp will stamp out this area, so I did the same, but as this was also leafy, I mounted the stamp at the same time, and this time I'm stamping it in mint macaron. And this time I mounted it on this hinge here. I'm going to be fussy cutting this image, so I'm just going to cut that off and stamp another one. Ink it up with Memento black ink. To save time, I've stamped fillers off camera, and there's my second one done. Next, I'm going to fussy cut this and angle it at a 45-degree angle and just move the paper and not the scissors. On the second stamped image, I cut out this flower, large flower, to put on top of that. So I cut along the black line. I'll do that off camera. So there's the flower cut. You don't want to waste those either. So I cut these two. So I could glue it to the inside of the card. So also cut the bud here, so I've not wasted anything. So let's set those pieces aside, and we're going to die cut this piece here with the oval die. Now if you use this heart die on its own, it will cut out an aperture like this. The inside won't be cut out, but if you want the stitched greenery pattern to show through, then you need this second die, and when you put it on, make sure that the hearts are facing the right way. This is a little bit further to the top to give you more room down the bottom to stamp your sentiment. Now we need our cutting sandwich, so we have platform 1, the thin die adapter platform 2, one of the base plates platform 3, followed by your cardstock, the dies cutting edge face down, and a second platform 3. And now you're ready to run it through the Stamp and Cut emboss machine. Now once it's die cut, you'll be left with all these little hearts, and you could use that, recycle that, and use it inside a shaker card if you wish. If you use those two dies together, then you'll be left with this frame as well as this oval to use on other projects. Now I'm going to stamp Made with Love onto a scrap piece of cardstock. Now originally I had stamped this directly onto card front because I'd smudged it. So I cut a second sentiment, and I fussy cut it, and I quite like the effect, so I'm going to do that again and just fussy cut round it. So this is really a fussy cutting card, and my apologies to those who don't like fussy cutting. The other thing I need to do is now use the stitched die. I'm going to do it this way up because then I see how my card is placed. So I'm going to put platform 1, platform 2, the thin die adapter, then I'm going to reverse my cutting plates. So the one that's unmarked will be at the bottom, and then the die cutting edge face up, followed by the cardstock. Make sure that's straight, and then the bottom cutting plate, which is the heavily marked one, will be placed on top, and then I'll run that through the machine. So now we can start assembling our card. So adhere this piece to the card front. It covers the whole of the card front, so you want to make sure that the edges are in line with the base card underneath, so you don't have anything jutting out. So now I'm going to adhere this piece inside the card base. So this is the 3 3/4 by 5 1/2 basic white piece. Then I'm going to arrange my leaves like so at the bottom and have the flower sticking out like that. So what I'm going to do is only put glue in the middle here, so I've got wiggle room to tuck my other leaves in. Now I'm going to cut a strip of dimensionals, fairly thin strip, because I want them to go in between the hearts. And I'm going to cut another narrow strip to go on here. Then I'll put this on the 4 corners. Remove the backing tape from here, and now I want to adhere it to the front of the card, leaving an even border all round. Pop a dimensional on here and stick it down here. I'll just put adhesive to the bottom and just this leaf here, tip of the leaf there, and a dimensional. Now to add a few finishing touches, give the Wink of Stella a good shake, little squeeze, and add that just to this main flower here. I can't remember. Yes, I did paint all of them. And just do the inside as well. Bring back my Stamparatus. Ink up the sentiment from Country Bouquet, I think it was. And it says Happy Valentine's Day. I think I'll stamp the hearts here because I smudged it with the Wink of Stella. Just a word of caution, these photopolymer stamps can tear quite easily, especially if they're really big ones, and it's new straight out of the pack and it's really firmly stuck down to the packaging. You could so easily tear them, so my tip is to go with care and just prise it open a little bit at a time. So that's the finished card. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. Thanks for popping by. All the supplies are below this video in the show more section. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. If you'd like to read more, then hop over to my blog. The link to is also below. Thanks for watching. Bye.